This episode of the Drywall Podcast is dedicated to the life and legacy of Dolly Parton.
And the flowers I knew in the fields where I grew were content to be lost in the crowd. They were commonly close. I had no room to grow, and I wanted so much to branch out. So I uprooted myself from my home ground and left. Took my dreams and I took to the road. When a flower grows wild, it can always survive, while flowers don't care.
Hello, all you perfectionist-oriented drywallers out there. You know who you are. In drywall land, and welcome to an angular episode of the Drywall Podcast. I'm your host, once again, Nick Harmon, with us today for his first appearance on the show. I am super happy to introduce Pete Wilson of PR Interiors out of Victoria, BC, to grace your dusty ears. I told you we'd get him, and we finally did. Pete is a fantastic conversationalist, and we waste no time digging into the origin of the Creaser Corner Finisher by CanAm tools. You see, Pete helped develop this tool, as I've mentioned in the intro, throughout the month, and so we're finally going to find out a little bit about the man behind that tool. Not only that, he was also involved with designing the TapePro sander, fun fact, and we discussed that tool, also talking about the morph sander and how those two compare. Pete also uses a unique continuous flow system that helps save his shoulders. Pete is a first generation finisher that didn't even know how to finish until a tornado in 1985 blew the finishing trade his way.
Well, firstly, it was the money.
Sure.
I had jobs. I didn't finish high school, so the jobs I was getting, I was, delivering paint for automotive jobbers and
Okay.
near minimum wage jobs. I would, when the very first I started in drywall, a tornado. I was originally from Barrie, Ontario, and a tornado went through in 1985 and tore our town apart. All of a sudden, they needed tradesmen to rebuild all these things, and I had never considered doing it. And I had an in with the Heggies, my buddy George. So I bought a pouch and decided I was going to learn how to do drywall. I started boarding originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been to Barrie, the CSR location in Barrie.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Snowed the entire time.
Yeah. The snow
I was
belt.
like, what is this? What is this? Like the North Pole? Where the hell am I?
It's not as bad as it was when I was growing up. Believe me, it was way worse. But yeah, I started doing drywall. I started doing boarding, and there was three of us that really didn't know what we were doing. And we went into a townhouse, and after the first week, I made almost twice as much money without even knowing what I was doing. So I'm like, what if I got good at this? I might do all right,
Yeah.
For a guy with no education who didn't have a lot of options.
Pete is about as lovely as they come, and he also plays the guitar, which notches him up in my book on a personal level. Not to mention, he still works in a recording studio, which explains his ability to post some awesome content on his social media page. And if you haven't checked that out, you might want to go over there and check it out. Pete also developed an estimator app. Crazy. Before it was even cool. And we talk about that too. There's a bunch, but not too much, that you'll probably be hungry to hear a little more when we wrap up on this episode of the Drywall Podcast. Should I put Pete's testimonial of the Creaser Corner Finisher, or would that be redundant? I like his testimonial. Yeah, better put it in. That's right, it's sponsor time. And what would my introduction to this podcast be without a badass sponsor? Nothing. That's what it would be. Nothing. I'm talking about a little company out of Canada called CanAm. That's right, CanAm is once again our official sponsor for the months of August and September. And like always, we have something special cooked up. Maybe you've wondered if there could be a tool that both rolls, creases, and flushes your inside corner all at the same time. Well, wonder no more. That tool now exists, and we're about to talk about it. It's called the Creaser Corner Finisher, and was first inspired by a finisher named Pete Wilson, who happens to be on this very podcast out of Victoria, BC. And it's finally here. Introducing the Creaser Corner Finisher by CanAm. Finally, a tool that combines the roller with the flusher, making your next swipe of your stand-up inside angle fast and efficient. Precisely adjusted feathering tabs ensure a fast, uniform finish every time, and they'll connect to your existing CanAm flusher handle. Win-win. But don't take my word for it. Here is a couple of words from Pete.
No matter what you use to do your angles right now, nobody does it better than CanAm. I would recommend CanAm tools to anybody and everybody. They don't cost a lot to get into. It's actually some of the cheaper tools on the market, unbelievably. And they're gonna make you money. They're gonna streamline your workflow. Even if you've been doing this a long time and you use mechanical heads, I bet you will love these finishing heads.
You can find out more about this amazing new tool at canamtools.com if you want more information, or reach out to me. I'm happy to tell you everything I know about it, but for now, we have that beautiful voice that you just heard of Pete Wilson on this actual episode of the Drywall Podcast, episode 177. Let's get into it. Pete Wilson. Wilson Drywall?
PR Wilson Interiors is my company name.
And you've been doing it for a little while.
Yeah, a minute or two. I'm in my 40th year right now doing drywall.
I've known Wolfgang for quite a while. He reached out when the Drywall Podcast was fairly new. CanAm has been a big supporter of the Drywall Podcast. They were some of my first sponsor. So we started sponsoring, and of course he was willing to help. We do advertisements for Wolfgang. We've advertised, their tubes are awesome. Their glazers. We've done ice bath giveaways, you name it. But most recently, this roller. So I had Jake Nilsson and on the podcast, and Sunil D'Souza. Do you know him? Have you met him?
Not sure I do. No.
The owner of Drywall Master Tools. He called while I was on the podcast, and sometimes I take the call and I just sort of run it through. And Jake was asking about a mechanism that rolls and glazes at the same time, and I was like, I think CanAm has something like that. But I was talking to you, and you had said there's multiple or a couple different systems on the market. We're going to get into that. Okay, but more recently, CanAm is sponsoring the months of September and August on the Drywall Podcast. Once again, we appreciate them for that. And Wolfgang had said that you were instrumental in this most recent iteration of the roller, creaser, glazer. I'm not sure if that's I feel like they could come up with a better name. But the roller, the glaze roller, the glazer roller, or creaser, I don't know. Anyways, it creases, it rolls, it glazes, kind of like rolling out your corners and then glazing them in one shot. That's the idea.
That's the idea, yeah.
So where Pete Wilson came into the frame was Wolfgang said that you were instrumental in shaping this tool, helping sort of design it. And you're even in the video. So you've got a couple videos on your social media page, but you're in my intro. I don't know if you saw the last intro.
I did.
okay,
Yeah.
I throw you in there, and here's what Pete Wilson has to say about CanAm.
It kind of shocked me, but I wasn't expecting to see myself. I'm like, whoa.
Nice, nice.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
totally bootlegged it off their site. Well, now you can do screen recording with your phone, so it makes
sure.
my job easy. I can like just sort of pick around people's social media and pull whatever I want for any type of ad. And yeah, I've been doing it a little while now. It's kind of fun, but I love doing the intros and doing like those little mini commercials. They're really fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But Wolfgang was like, "Oh, you should reach out to Pete because he helped design this tool." And here you are on the Drywall Podcast. Thanks for joining us today.
I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you. We're going to dive into the history, but let's talk about this tool real quick. We'll start out there just to capture the listener's attention. When I was talking with Jake Nilsson, I was like, "Oh, I felt like this was the only one on the market." But you were saying a couple of different companies have a roller glazer system, but you kind of didn't like the design and you sort of wanted to tweak. Let's start there. Who has these types of systems on the market, and how are they different from this new product that you came out with?
Well, CanAm used to have, for starters, CanAm had, I call it a roller flusher combo.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a great name either, but that's what I call them. CanAm had one, Columbia made one that I knew of, and the third one was Better Than Ever, which they're not in business anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe they're in business. Now, I tried all three of them because I like the idea of skipping a step. If you can work more efficiently, save energy.
Who was first? Who like
That I couldn't tell you. I
Okay.
don't know.
Because the idea seems so simple, or like maybe you just attach a glazer head to a roller.
Yeah, yeah. The problem with that is, I mean, the glazer or the flusher, as I call them, has to sit at exactly the right angle, and so yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than one would think. So
Right.
that one
Of
that
course.
one wheel, yeah, that one wheel system. What everybody did, including CanAm in the beginning, is CanAm has a 2-wheel roller. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's got 2 wheels that are just kind of 90-degree wheels. And they're designed to go into an angle, and you kind of lean it to one side and lean it to the other side, and you can roll out with just 2 wheels instead of a 4-wheel roller. And they just thought, well, we'll stick one of those on the front of a flusher. And some people use them. I tried them. It was underwhelming, the results that you got from it. And Columbia had their version. I didn't like theirs because part of the problem was the mount. They just stuck a little wheel on the front of a flusher, and the mount was too flimsy, and it would just bend out, not do anything. It would just be getting in your way.
Okay.
And pretty much the same with Better Than Ever. So me, being me, I called up Wolfgang.
We're gonna get into Pete being Pete in a second, but let's stay on this vein for right now. I like it.
Okay. So I reached out to Wolfgang and told him, I got some ideas. You have one, it doesn't work, same as everybody else's. It doesn't do much. That's why you're not selling them, because people don't like them.
Okay.
And I had some ideas and worked with him and Mike, I believe, is his main engineer.
You don't see these tools like I mean, until like this most recent iteration, I was like, I had never seen anything like it. I thought it was like super revolutionary, but this is a problem maybe that these tool companies have tried to solve for a little while.
I don't think a lot of effort was put into it.
Okay.
I think they just said, let's stick a wheel on the front. It'll squeeze the mud out. And but it takes a lot. It has to be fine-tuned and balanced and work. Most of the time, the wheel just isn't doing anything. On all the early ones, it did next to nothing. Not nothing, but next to it.
So does that, and I'm calling it a creaser wheel because it looks a lot like the wheel on a bazooka. But it seems like there's 2 wheels and they're angled in. Yeah.
Now this is an important part of it. That stainless steel spring you see on the top, that leaf spring, The idea being when you push, those two wheels are kind of closed a little bit, so they get the creaser gets right in there.
Yeah.
And then as you apply pressure, the leaf spring flattens out and the wheels conform to the angle. They spread open.
Okay.
So, and in doing so, it squeezes the mud out from behind the tape, like a four-wheel roller would do it, but with one wheel.
Kind of like, I mean, the Apex, the Morph has been coming up a lot. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that tool.
I am, yeah.
But it has a rocker Apex because those angles are never going to be even, which is why you kind of have to roll one side or the other with the roller.
Yeah.
So this creaser wheel with the spring is kind of like the Apex on the Morph sander. It gives you that a little bit. It doesn't rock, but it'll conform to the unstraightness of the inside angle.
Yeah, some angles are a little tight, some are a little open, and that allows it to squeeze the mud out a lot better. It's not just stuck in the corner, right?
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
interesting. So you call Wolfgang, and then what happens? That he's like, yeah, I'll send you out some parts. See what you can put together.
Well, I mean, it started with a conversation with me with no education in this stuff, but me telling him why I think they don't work. I'm like, this is why I believe they don't work, and I tried them all because I liked the idea, and I thought it was a balance issue for starters. I can't remember his name for it now, but there's a cutaway to get that wheel tucked back in so that it's not way out in front with no pressure on it. And then the leaf spring idea, that really made a big difference. So a combination of balance and finding a way to get the wheel to adapt a little bit.
So roller flesher combo, I kind of like that name. We're getting there, but it's still not there. It's got to be like the Fantastic Flesher.
Something flashy?
I feel like we can come up with something during this episode.
Okay.
So do you have a flair for like design? Do you wrench on cars? Why do you have the audacity? You can take this tool and make it better. And enough so to call Wolfgang and be like, hey dude, I got you on this one.
Well, I have no education in it. I am mechanically inclined to some degree, probably a little bit more than the average person, but
sure.
Something I like to say is laziness is the mother of invention. And I'm the guy that goes, there's got to be a better way to do this. Like, how can we do that? So, and I just have an analytical mind. So I keep thinking, why isn't this? Instead of going, this doesn't work and throwing away, I go, why isn't it working? Like, what's happening?
Well, and are you talking specifically about why are we using a roller going over all the angles and then using a glazer? Why can't we just do this in one shot?
Exactly. That kind of thinking. And then the ability to just, and the patience to just keep, well, let me try something else. Like I've pulled the runners off of flushers and tried to do it with the wheel. So, cause I figured the runners were stopping the wheel from doing it, played with that, had some success, but, I'm just that guy. I like to mess with things.
Cool.
And I mean, when I first reached out to Wolfgang, it was a couple years ago now, he came out with the Sharps. I don't know if you're familiar with the change they made. That was the first time I talked to him. I'm like, hey, why are your corners so rounded? Why do you do that? I'm assuming you can't make them sharper, more like a mechanical head. And he goes, well, we could make them sharper, but I'm like, then why don't you? Because I got to drag all that mud or sand it out or scrape it out in order to sand my job.
You're talking about the mud in the Apex?
In the Apex, if you look at most glazers, as you call them, or fleshers on the market. The Apex on a glazer it's got a radius to it. It's a little bit rounded. And if you look at a mechanical head, it's a very crisp corner. Why most of us like mechanical heads, it makes a really crisp line. It's beautiful, but the fleshers were easy.
What do you mean mechanical head versus flesher? What do you mean?
the mechanical, what I refer to as a mechanical, I'm sure there's lots of names for it, but
Sure.
it's the ones that when Ames first came out with,
It's probably
fully
what
autom-
I'm thinking Glazer. I'm thinking Glazer, that's probably the mechanical head versus a
Oh,
flesher.
okay. It's got the carbide blades on the back and the
It's
sides.
more sophisticated.
Absolutely. And more expensive. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that they make really crisp. They've always had a very crisp apex. The center of your angle's crisp.
Okay.
And fleshers always have a little bit of a radius to it. And when that shrinks, because it's shrinking on two planes, it shrinks on this wall and that wall, it separates and you get little cracks and you got to sand it out.
Uh-huh.
So anyways, I reached out to Wolfgang. I'm like, why do you make them rounded like that? Like everybody does. Why? And
Yeah.
he said, I assumed you couldn't bend the stainless steel that sharp. And he's like, no, we figured it would make the tool last longer. So, because it wouldn't drag in the apex. And I'm like, well, if I didn't have to sand that out of every angle of every house I've ever done, over millions of feet of drywall, I'd happily buy another one
Right.
for $150 or whatever
Yeah.
they cost. It depends
Yeah.
where you are. But so he started making the sharps, and then he switched over his whole line to that. So that
Okay.
was, and that was just one conversation. And I'm sure he talked to other tapers who complained to him too.
I believe we've talked about this before, and it has to
You
do with
probably have.
the metal too, and how it's put together and stuff.
Yeah, and now they're very, very crisp corners you're getting out of a can.
Now, is sort of everybody doing the crisp corner thing now? And you'll
Not-
forgive my ignorance because I'm like in colored mud world, and so I'm not running Glazer fleshers all day. Otherwise, I would be more astute. Also, people are just listening to the podcast mostly, so we have to paint a picture. So, how does the process of the roller flesher? Does he send you tools? Let's go back to there.
Well, yeah,
How do you start whittling away and figuring this out?
same way everybody does, I would imagine, is just prototyping. We brainstorm. They put something together for me, ship it to me. I use it. I tell them what I like, what I don't like. They go back to the drawing board, do it again. And we've done that quite a few times, like
A
more than
bunch.
half a dozen iterations
Okay.
to get to where we are now. And we're still
Now,
working on it.
Maybe you don't mind, but I mean, are you kind of getting paid for your time on this? Is this like donation? Has Wolfgang taken care of you in the past? I know he's a nice guy and they're a fair company, but the drywallers would want to know, man, is this guy working for free? What's going on over there?
I more or less I am. He said to me, we got to figure out a way to to take care of you on this. And I'm like, I'm
Sure.
happy. I'm happy to I think it's just cool to be involved.
That's
And
typical
I-
drywaller.
No, I honestly, I don't think it's worth what I'm bringing to the table isn't worth that much. I have some decent ideas, but it's not all me by any stretch. This is not my tool, right?
Sure.
I have, the corner sander that you've heard of the Stealth sander
Yes.
from out of Australia. That's my design. Like that one, I came from the
Oh,
beginning and
okay.
did that. And
So they're kind of competing with Morph a little bit right now. Yeah.
yeah, I think they were on the market before Morph.
Yeah.
Morph has got a different design, but the Stealth sander was based on my design, which I tried to
Okay.
get to market a long time ago in early 2000s. And when I realized I was never going to make any money on it, I just posted a video on how to make your own because I was making my own. And what's his name out of Australia? He's got a ton of followers. He watched my video, made one, and then it turned into something.
Is it the TapePro?
TapePro, exactly. They call it the Stealth sander. And Wolfgang also approached me about doing my sander, my original design, but ran into some problems sourcing the one-piece sponge that I think is key to really making it work the way mine works. So anyway, we got to a point with that with CanAm and kind of hit a stumbling block. We hit a wall and couldn't get
Sure.
those sponges manufactured. So it's just sitting there now waiting.
This is interesting because have you considered reaching out to James with Morph at all?
I've had chats with him, DMs
Okay,
with
good.
him. He sent me one. I tried it. I think he's got some really good ideas there.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. I think mine works better.
Ah, okay. There's a shots
but
fired. Shots
no,
fired.
no. I mean, come
James
on, it's
is
my baby.
James is so cool. I think he's had videos where he's had them side by side, I'm sure
Yeah,
there's finishers that are going to choose either one. When you have two good tools, it's going to be a personal
yeah,
preference at a certain point.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And what do you weight as more important? Like, let's say the Morph does a better job on the apex, but maybe the Stealth Sander does the edges better. Um, are you? What do you think is more important, the edges or the apex? Right? Like, so guys are going to have
Right.
preferences based on stuff like that. What do they deem more important? Right?
Interesting.
Ideally, it'd be
Okay.
nice to have a sander that did it all perfectly. Right?
Yeah. So how did you so the final product, how did that come to be? Your aha moment. What was sort of the hurdle that got you to get this flusher roller to market? It's like, okay, Wolfgang, this is ready to go. What was the final, I guess, sort of cog?
It was just literally it was fine tuning the balance of how much pressure goes on the wheel so that it can do its job before the trailing edge of the flusher comes through and shapes the corner. So it's, just this back and forth,
Now,
being a little tenacious.
is there anything special? Like, let's say I'm new. I'm a roller and flusher guy, tried and true, just like every good drywaller. I've been doing it for years. What's the learning curve that I'm going to have to go through if I want to purchase one of these tools?
If you have been rolling and flushing angles, there's no learning curve. You just stick it, just don't pick up your roller. Just put it in the corner. But no, seriously, it's like
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have experience. You bisect the corner like you always do. Get your gooseneck in the right. Just do what you've always done. Just skip the rolling, and you know you have the same challenges with a roller when you roll into a three-way. You got to be careful not to pull the tape out or at the bottom.
You
You
start
have
in the
less.
middle. You start in the
Yeah,
middle still. All that.
yeah.
Okay.
I like
All
to
right.
I like to start in the middle, go down, flip it over, go up, and then come back down, and then move on to the next one. It's kind of more like the rolling process and not flushing. Like in the sense like if you got a guy
Oh,
like with a mechanical head or a glazer as you call it, they'll roll back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, then they grab the glazer and go done, right? So the mechanics of doing it was, like you're going to go back and forth like as if you're rolling it. But then, yeah, it's super easy to do, and you don't need a lot of pressure. You're not forcing anything. It just seems to just work. It's so easy,
okay.
and it makes
Okay.
a beautiful, crisp corner that you could comfortably run a corner box on with a mechanical head and not cut your tapes. Most flushers, if you're not careful and you try to put a mechanical head to do your finish coat over a tape that's been flushed without rolling, it'll cut the corner. It'll cut the apex of the tape, right?
Okay. Yep.
But with this, if you finish with a mechanical head on a corner box, you're not, there's no risk of cutting tapes. It's just as if you used a four-wheel roller.
Do you think
But
this? Go ahead. Sorry.
the one difference is there's not as much mud on top of the tape in this system as a two system. Like if
Oh,
you
right.
if you do a four-wheel roller and use a mechanical head, there's a fair amount of taping mud on top of the tape.
It saturates that tape.
Yeah, and this, like any flushing system, it doesn't leave as much mud on the tape on your tape coat. So, it means that you have to use it changes how your finish coat goes, right? Like, so guys who are really used to that system with having all that mud on their tape coat, they're just putting a super tight skim of finishing mud on top of it
Yeah.
and calling it done. Whereas guys who've been working with flushers and continue to work with flushers, their finish coat is doing more heavy lifting than the tape coat. It's just like more fill is happening on your finish coat.
Okay. Do you think that this new system tool is going to render the roller like a dinosaur? Do you think it's that important?
I think it depends what world you live in. In other words, if you're a semi-automatic tool guy, tubes, flushers, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
You won't want a four-wheel roller. I think if you're a fully automatic setup with four-wheel rollers and mechanical heads and all of that,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think he's going to get a big foot in that market. I don't.
Okay.
For a lot of reasons. Us drywallers, we find a way that works. Most of us. That's a generalization.
Everybody.
Yeah, we find a way that works for us, and we don't want to veer from it, right? Like if something's new,
Yeah.
I've seen guys pick up great tools and instantly hate them, like because it's not like what they used to use. So it's a comfort zone thing, right? So
Yeah. I
but
think
if
of the
you're-
Gilberts. I think of those Gilberts, man, and like they got free bazooka from Colombia, but they still use that shit box, man. Like and I'm
I
like,
have,
you're a shitbox guy,
I use a super taper. I have two bazookas. And I have that hybrid banjo thing from TapePro, and I still go back to the way I'm good at doing it. Like I'm faster.
dude.
with a
I watch
shitbox.
them throwing it up there though. They're like throwing and she's like putting it up and wiping at the same time. I'm
That's-
like, whoa, that's fast.
That's next level. I tell you, that's impressive. I can't do that.
Have you seen him do it? Have you seen him doing that? She's like putting it up and wiping at the same time. I'm like,
I had an employee at one point that was working for me who could do it, and I was just floored. So I tried it, and I hate it. I just can't. It's not. I don't know if I'm not coordinated enough or what the issue was, but I can't do it like that.
would you consider yourself a semi, my words are escaping me, not semi-automatic, person? Yeah.
Yeah. I've tried them all.
Do you use boxes?
I use I use a box once. So I'll do my first coat with a box, and then after that I have a continuous flow system, but I spray with it. So I'll spray my second and third coats.
Like you'll bust out the continuous flow for like a small house?
I always have it. It's what do you consider a small house? Like I wouldn't go and do a bathroom with it, but
No, 1,000 square feet.
but I mean anything more than 8,000 board feet, I'd break it out. Yeah.
Okay.
It's always in my van. It's not that big of a deal. Roll it in, plug it in.
Well, we don't get a lot of continuous. There's a couple, but we don't get a lot of people that have adapted the continuous flow system on the Drywall Podcast. That's pretty advanced systems. Why do you like the continuous flow in the box?
I don't use it on the box. I run a manual box. Like the old school box. The first fill is quite heavy, right? First coat bead and first coat flats are quite heavy. And I find it's more efficient to just do the old school tools. But my shoulder, after 40 years of troweling, pays the price anytime I pick up a trowel.
Okay.
And my back and my knees from bending down and coating beads by hand. So I found a way that helps my body. I'm just to the point where if I had to pick up a trowel every day and run a trowel all day, I'd have to retire. I just wouldn't be able to keep doing it.
That's what these young people, like whatever. I was just having a conversation with Chad about the Graco, the automatic.
Yeah.
I got to use it. I hadn't boxed in a long time, and I got to use it in Effingham, and I was like, because I always poo-pooed it. I was like, that's stupid. But I went back. I hadn't ran the box in 15 years or something, and I went and I was using that electric pump
box filler.
And I was like, okay, I would buy one of these, like $1,400, like whatever. I would buy it just because all that pumping like on one project. It's amazing, you know.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool system, and just take that and elevate it to everything you're doing.
Right.
That's a continuous flow. Now, okay, let me just preface. I have a full Applitech system, and I have the TapeTech Bazooka system, which is the one with the big hopper on it. And I have all the boxes and angle handles and everything, the bazookas to run on them.
You have both TapeTech and Applitech continuous flow systems?
Yes, I started with Applitech.
Because he was on, we had him on the show and we were talking about continuous flow. And I've also talked with Robbie about it. Now, for $1 million, which system do you like better?
There's things about both of them that I prefer. Now, I don't run them both anymore. I'm only running the bazooka, so that'll tell you. But I'm also not running any boxes. I'm not running the bazookas. All I'm doing is spraying mud. So it's just the pump and a spray gun is all I'm using it for. I don't run my angles with it. I use the CanAm.
So you spray and then you wipe?
Yeah, and I've also, remember I said my shoulder and the trowel, I'm using finishing blades to wipe. So I have a helper that sprays the mud on and I just chase them around, wipe the bead down, wipe the flats, butts, headers, all of those.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's incredibly fast.
I'll bet.
But incredibly easy on my body.
Yeah.
Like it's all different muscle groups now.
Is it as fast as running just the box tool without a helper? Yeah.
Without it, yeah. I mean, if I didn't have a helper and I was putting it down and picking it up, obviously.
But a lot of times, I think it's nice to run the box and then have somebody wiping behind the box.
I always wipe behind. If I'm running the box, I can do it clean enough that if I trace it, go back and forth and trace you can get a really nice finish without wiping it. But because I don't push a box anymore because of my body failing. I'll just chase the helper with a finishing blade and wipe it. Like I'm wiping all my ceiling flats from the floor with the handle on the wiping blade. I don't have to get on my stilts. And I do that with the box. I also do that when he sprays. But the spraying goes faster than the box. The box goes really fast too. They're both very quick.
Sure.
We're talking not that much of a difference. But spraying has advantages, I find, that boxing doesn't. If you have a lot of dust on your walls in the corners from rough sanding or pre-sanding before you do your next coat, you've probably noticed that once in a while it'll stick to the dust but not to the coat underneath it. So you got to dust things out sometimes if there's been a little bit of heavy pre-sanding. Spraying, when you spray, it blows that away before the mud even hits a wall. Right? So in your stand-ups, it's not pulling out. There's advantages to both systems. I prefer that.
Yeah, great tips. And to me, it's unique to the Drywall Podcast. Not a lot of people do it. I would say probably in the industry, not a lot of people do it that way. It's very, it's unique.
Yeah, I guess it is. I haven't seen a lot of guys doing it. There's a few out there that are doing it. It works great for me.
Cool. How old are you, if you don't mind? I mean, I'm putting you at 48. For our listeners on YouTube.
Have I got that filter on again? Hang on, let me check.
Yeah.
No, I'm 63.
63 years young.
Yeah.
Well, and we appreciate that. Sometimes I'll have the younger people or they're in their second year. I love those interviews as well.
Oh, yeah.
And they're important. They're all important, but it's always nice to have a veteran and an expert because you've had so much experience, especially with this. We can sort of flush out, if you will, the corner roller flusher creaser spectacular.
Yeah, spectacular. No, it's a great tool, and I think they're going to do really, really well with it once people
I think so.
Start to try it. Honestly, there's no downside to it.
Well, let's go back to the meager beginnings. Gosh, we burned a lot of time on that conversation, but it was good. But I do like to talk about your history. You are in Victoria, BC, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
It seems like you'd be hanging out with the Columbia guys if you're up there.
You would think so. You would think so. They're in Vancouver.
They're in Vancouver. It's pretty close, but have you ever been to the Columbia headquarters there?
I have not.
You should call up Aaron and go check it out. It's pretty impressive. As a
impressive.
As a machine guy, you'd be like, "Oh wow, this is cool." Yeah, for sure.
They've done really well for good reason, right? Yeah, I haven't even been to CanAm's shop.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we're busy. We're busy doing stuff. Cool. Are you first generation drywaller?
Yes. Yes, sort of. I say it that way because my best friend growing up, like from public school, when we were, his father was a drywaller, and I consider him a brother. He taught me the trade. He learned it from his dad, and I went to work with him when I was like 20.
Well, that's first generation in my book. But you were pretty young. You're about 20, yeah?
I was just early 20s when I started.
What'd you like about it? Why did you find yourself at home in this crazy trade?
Well, firstly, it was the money.
Sure.
I had jobs. I didn't finish high school, so the jobs I was getting, I was delivering paint for automotive jobbers and near minimum wage jobs. I would when the very first I started in drywall, a tornado. I was originally from Barrie, Ontario. And a tornado went through in 1985 and tore our town apart. All of a sudden, they needed tradesmen to rebuild all these things, and I had never considered doing it. And I had an in with the Heggies, my buddy George. So I bought a pouch and decided I was going to learn how to do drywall. I started boarding originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've been to Barrie, the CSR location in Barrie.
Oh yeah. Okay. There you go. Yeah.
Snowed the entire time.
Yeah. The snow belt.
What is this? What is this? Like the North Pole? Where the hell am I?
It's not as bad as it was when I was growing up. Believe me, it was way worse. But yeah, I started doing drywall. I started doing boarding, and there was three of us that really didn't know what we were doing, and we went into a townhouse. And after the first week, I made almost twice as much money without even knowing what I was doing. So I'm like, what if I got good at this? I might do all right. For a guy with no education who didn't have a lot of options, seemed like a good way to go.
You weren't a derelict anything? Is like becoming a recovering addict part of your story at all?
No. A recovering musician. I spent time on the road.
Fair. We've had a couple of those as well. Like yeah, for sure.
But, I just I always said a good drywaller is a sure sign of a misspent youth, right?
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
What did you play? And you were on the road, like you traveled, like you were gonna make some music. The next Rush.
Yeah. Not quite that good, unfortunately, but I'm a guitar player. I still play guitar.
Maybe the next Bryan Adams.
Yeah, well, that was the dream, right?
To name a couple, who else you got? You got Alanis Morissette, right?
Yeah.
Who else? Who else you got up there?
Wow, I'm going blank here. There was a ton of them. Honeymoon Suite, but they didn't do well in the States, so you probably don't know who they were. April Wine.
Okay.
Big ones. Saga was good worldwide, but you probably didn't do well in the States either.
You still play
a lot.
You still play? Oh, I do see a guitar there behind you. Do you still play?
Yeah, I play. I'm also work in recording studios. I have my own. This is my home studio,
nice.
And I work in so I produce and engineer. I'm not a collector, but I got a few guitars here.
What's that? Well, that's a Fender. What's that acoustic? Is that a Fender?
That's a Fender Acoustasonic.
Yeah, I've seen those. Those look really cool.
And then I got a couple Canadian-made signatures, and this is this is a Taylor.
That's a Taylor.
Yeah. It's a great. I love it for recording. I'm more of an electric guy myself.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to play an acoustic live, it'll be the Acoustasonic because it's easier on the hands, right?
What's
'Cause I've
that
always played electric.
first? What's that first electric over there? That looks like a Fender as well. No, behind you.
Oh, up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's that?
that's just
That's a Fender.
that. It's a copy of a Fender.
Okay.
What is it? The J Turner. That's it. J Turner.
Okay.
It's a cheap copy of it. It sounds good. Plays great.
I bet.
I hardly ever pick it up. But
Cool. Cool.
fun to have on the wall.
What do you use your recording studio for?
My home studio, I do a lot obviously music, but I mean I'll do a lot of mixing and mastering here
Okay.
for the other studio because it's convenient. I'll do all the tracking out at the other studio, but I do a fair amount of tracking, and I got friends, my own music that I work on here. But out at the other studio, I also work on in the TV and movie industry doing ADR or dialogue replacement, voiceovers, stuff like that.
Cool.
So yeah, so it's kind
Any
of fun.
Foley? Do you do Foley?
Not Foley per se, no. I mean, I recently did a feature length documentary, and the extent of Foley is SFX. I'm adding sound effects, Foley,
Sure. Okay.
but I'm not actually making sounds. You just use files and drop them in, right?
Yeah.
Pretty
Cool.
simple
What
stuff.
what tools do you use to edit and do all that?
Music, I use Logic, and for the TV and movie industry, you have to use Pro Tools, which
Okay.
I'm getting better at. I learned Pro Tools specifically to do that type of work because that's the industry standard. But I'm still more comfortable in Logic.
Okay. And yeah, there's a lot of movie stuff up there, yeah?
Yeah, there's a pretty healthy.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to film up here than down
Yep.
there, right?
Well,
So you
Albuquerque had a little influx of because of the tax breaks in New Mexico as well. So there's a Netflix studio here.
the movie industry is it's a pretty cool thing. I quickly realized though that it can take over your life. Like people who work, no matter what your job is, whether you're an audio guy or
Yeah.
they have deadlines. They got you working like
Yeah.
crazy
Yeah.
hours.
17 hour days.
So you have to have a passion for it, or it's just you're just not going to last in that industry.
So you found an affinity for drywall mostly because of the money, but did you segue more to finishing at that time? Did you find it's like, it's a little easier than hanging. I mean, I was always like, hanging just sucked to me. It seemed cool if you got good, but even if you're good, it's like back-breaking work.
Hard work, no question about
Yeah.
it. Well, the guy that ended up teaching me, my buddy George, I went to him, probably 6 months into boarding, and I'm like, George, we were working on the same project. I'm like, you got to teach me how to tape, man. And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, come on. He's like, no, I don't want to teach anybody. I just want to do my thing. And so I was watching it, hanging out in his unit, watching him work, and I'm like, come on, man, I could do that. I think 2 weeks and I'd be up to speed. And that snapped something in him, and he's like, 2 weeks, you're dreaming. I'm like, come on, it looks easy.
That's it.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I was like, dude, give me that. I could do that. Like they were running the box. I was like, come on, man. And then you grab that box and it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, he was strictly hand taper too. He didn't even finish with special
Sure.
hands. He did everything by hand. So anyways, he accepted that challenge. He wanted to prove me wrong, so he
Okay.
gave me a job. And it wasn't 2 weeks. Trust me, it took a while. I was pretty darn good after about 2 years. Took me about 2 years to get
Yeah, I'll bet.
good at it. And but he gave me that strong foundation because he taught me the old school way of doing everything.
Well, he
And then-
probably liked your initiative and, okay, here's somebody I could train up. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah,
back
it was-
then.
I'm still thankful for those early, like that George gave me the chance because he really didn't want to. I just had to piss him off enough by telling him I can do it because it's
2
easy.
weeks.
That's how I got the job.
Nice. That you catered to his ego. He's like, I'll show
Exactly.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. But you had an affinity for it. You liked it.
Yeah.
And so how long did you hang out with him before you ventured out on your own?
George and I worked together for quite some time, back and forth, and you know what life's like, and then we'd have little beefs, and I'd go back to boarding, and then back. Basically like working with family, right? So it doesn't always go smooth, but we're still friends to this day, and we don't work together anymore. But George he's stuck in his ways, and I'm the guy that goes, there's got to be a better way. Like I was bringing boxes to work, and he's like, no, we're not using those.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we had that kind of, and
But this was probably 1980, though. You
It
were
was in
working. So the tools
88.
were fairly new. They were still trying to get a foothold in the industry with the automatic tools.
Ames had been renting out tools for a long time by then, I believe.
Right.
But you couldn't really buy them, right? You had to rent them back then, I think.
Well, Columbia was sort of out, and there was some
were they out then?
some early in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, they were, but it wasn't real popular.
I didn't see any Columbia in Ontario. I did see
Right.
CanAm.
You saw CanAm.
That was the first flusher I ever picked up, was a CanAm flusher.
Okay.
And then I ended up using them all over the years. Like, right?
You were taping and just wiping out all your inside angles with a knife?
No, we used George had a 2.5-inch CanAm flusher
Okay.
to put the tapes in, and he would just mix his mud like 2% milk. Like, I mean, it was thin.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't roll. He would just flush it, and then we would use a 4-inch knife to do half angles for finishing. But
How'd you put the tapes on? The super taper.
We didn't have a super. They didn't exist then. Basically, you get a 2x6 kettle. we made our own. We made our own. They would sit on a bench,
Sure.
and you'd put a wooden gate in the front to adjust the mud, and we'd pull it into a basket. And
Do you use what super taper do you
Columbia.
use now?
Columbia. I don't know of any other ones.
Right.
I've never tried a different. Oh no, Better Than Ever used to make them, but again, Better Than Ever's not around anymore.
Sure.
But I like the Columbia Super Taper. It's great.
Oh,
I just
all
bought
right.
another one. Though my last one lasted about 7 years, and I just bought a new one a couple weeks ago.
Okay. All right.
And they're improving them too. They're getting a little bit better too.
They're getting a little better.
They're getting
Very
a little
good.
better.
Not Better Than Ever though.
Better Than Ever. No. I think I'm not sure, but I think CanAm bought out Better Than Ever years ago.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
I heard rumor.
It's come up, but the timeline of the Drywall Podcast is getting pretty vast now. There's a lot of tentacles in different directions where the tools go, who buys who rebuys into the company. Drywall Masters. It was Master Drywall or something. They sold to Tape Tech, and then now there's Drywall Master. They're back in play. Tape
Right.
Tech is a derivative of Ames. And Level 5 is going through like a buyout right now, or they just bought North Star. So there's a lot of shifting, and then they're going to come up with some sort of new Level 5 plus tool. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. The variables of the drywall industry, and it's not like the history's ever been fully mapped out. There's a lot of varying stories on what happened and what's happening, and everybody's got kind of their own opinion. It's interesting. I've had Derek. Do you know Derek Trout?
Should I?
East Coast Drywall Tools. He's been around for a little while, but he's been on the show 2 times.
No.
Yeah, kind of a cool dude.
Well, maybe I do. I'm terrible with names.
Yeah.
I'm good with faces, bad with names.
Yeah.
What was your name again?
Nick.
I'm not that bad. Not quite that.
Did you
I'm getting there though.
You hadn't heard of like the Fresco Harmony either, right?
No, not at all.
When we talked, have you looked into it at all?
I've talked about it. I actually started talking to some of my customers
Yeah.
because I'm going to look into it, but I haven't bought any or checked it out. I do want to be able to offer that, though. I think it's a great idea.
With your spray systems, you could go pretty quick with it. There's definitely systems that you can spray and trowel out.
Right.
And you're making a good margin, and for the amount of energy that you're putting on your shoulder, you might make a better margin on that energy
Yeah. Yeah,
expenditure.
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I assume that's the way you think of things. I did too.
Yeah.
I was like, well, why am I making $1.35 doing drywall when I could make $12 doing specialty wall finish? And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
the answer ultimately was, well, there's more drywall work
Absolutely.
than
Yeah.
specialty wall. You got to sell it. It has its own dynamic. It's an interesting world also.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does cater to, somebody that's familiar with a spreadable medium can pick it up like no problem,
Yeah. I don't think I'd struggle with it that much.
No.
Once you know the materials and how to deal with the materials, applying it is, you're applying
Gravy.
mud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're playing mud. Have you been after the social media thing for a while, or is that just like sort of a secondary? Eh,
The only reason I got involved with like posting on Instagram was when I developed my app and I thought I could maybe market it that way. So then I started learning about that and doing it. It was my apprentice said, "Hey man, go on Instagram." I'm like, okay.
yeah.
Right?
Were
And
you
so
just
we made it.
you were just doing Facebook before then,
I don't
or
even,
nothing?
no, nothing, nothing. I
Okay.
mean, it's not that I didn't, yeah, I guess I watched some YouTube videos and I posted YouTube videos, but it was more family stuff or music
Yeah.
stuff, right? It was nothing to do with drywall.
Yeah, I'll do like documentaries on my hikes, like the Nick Harmon,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
I'll edit my kid playing soccer, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff too,
Yeah.
And social
I,
media though for a product, it's like you have to be on there. You have to be
that's,
involved.
I mean, it's evolved to that. I mean, that's the way people get seen now, right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. As long as it's not so bad that it's distracting, really, that's all you need, right? People don't expect
Yeah.
Hollywood productions, so all you got to do is make it, fairly clean, not too noisy. You can understand what you're saying.
That's kind of too why I didn't stray away from iMovie. I was like, well, it's more the interview. So if I can keep this interesting, the person's going to listen the entire time to Pete's story. Like
Right.
that's what I want. That's my primary focus.
Yep.
Secondary is the editing. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, I get a cheap mic and I'll do it on Zoom, like whatever. It'll look how
Yeah.
it looks. I can go anywhere in the world and do an interview, but as long as I just keep it chill and keep the content interesting, then I'll retain the listener.
Absolutely. What's the
This
option?
has been
You're gonna have three
this
cameras and travel here to shoot an
they
interview
do.
with me.
They do. I'm like,
It's
dude,
ridiculous.
I got too much other shit going on. We may as well be sitting in the same room. It's
Yeah.
no different, really. I
Yeah.
can't imagine. Besides, I didn't spend $2,000 to go up to Victoria, which I did go up there once and I loved it. Or two times. Beautiful. Yeah.
It's beautiful here. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
This app that you're talking about, let's talk about that a little bit. Is this an estimator app?
It's yeah, that's basically what it
Out of the
does.
gate, though, with estimator apps, I immediately think like I get video advertisements for estimator apps all of the time. And I just talked with Greg Strebe. He's been on the show out of Ohio. He's got an estimator app now. There's a dude out of Canada, Doug McKenzie, is working on something. But I get advertisements all the time. Was this something that you knew, or why would you want to create because it seems like a busy space. Why would you go in this direction with an app?
It certainly wasn't a busy space when I started.
Okay.
I didn't intend to build an app. So if I can go back real quick, when I first started my company, PR Wilson Interiors, I started in '99 as a drywall contractor in Victoria. I'm grinding it out, working long days trying to build my company. And I would get calls to, hey, can you come look at this renovation? Can you come look at this job? Give us a price. We want to get a price.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll be right there, drop my tools, drive over to a job site, get my clipboard out, my tape measure, measure everything up, take it all down, shake their hand. Okay, I'll get you that quote. Go back to the other job site, go back to work for the rest of the day. And then I get home and, now you got to go in the office and do all these calculations.
You just explained how probably 95% of this industry does a bid.
That's how we did it. And what happened to me over time, the busier I got, the less energy I had to go down into my office when I got home. I want to crack a beer and put my feet up.
Yeah, I'll be there. Just Tuesday work.
Yeah. Well, I funny enough, I had no problem getting there to the job site to do the measuring. It was finalizing it and sending them the paperwork that was tripping me up. I'd get a phone call 2 weeks later. Hey, we didn't get our quote. I'm like, oh, really? Because I haven't gone and finished it, right? Like I was really bad at finishing it. So, and then there was calculator mistakes. Like I remember losing money on jobs because when I was adding, I measured it correctly, but then I'm totaling everything up and you go 32 square feet on an 8-foot sheet times 40 sheets and plus. Yeah, and then you make one little mistake and there goes $3,000 just like that. So I started working in spreadsheets to kind of take away some of that. And then IBM ThinkPad came out with a mobile, like something that I could use mobile, where you could tap on the screen. So then I started building spreadsheets. So I learned a bit about Visual Basic so that I could program spreadsheets. So I made some pretty robust spreadsheets, like 4 worksheets deep with all my pricing and everything in there. And then I fine-tuned it so that I could actually generate a quote with spreadsheets.
Okay.
And do it pretty damn efficiently.
Sure.
Then people said, hey, and this is, iOS was out.
That's pretty early.
iPad,
This is around 99 or 2000.
it was after that. Yeah, early 2000s.
Okay. Apps were a big deal. If you're younger and you're listening, apps were a very big deal coming out at that time. I remember everybody's coming out with a new app. The iPhone's emerging. I think was that 2004 or 5?
Something like in that range. For me, the big game changer was when they came out with the iPad.
Okay.
Because I wanted that, I wanted more real estate on the screen than a little phone.
Sure.
And I got my computer stolen out of my truck one day. I had somebody they're like, you should make an app. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to. I just want it for me, right?
Yeah.
And I got pushed a bit to try to get it to market as an app.
Okay.
And then my computer got stolen out of my truck, and I thought, well, $4,000 for another computer, and I started looking into what it would cost to actually.
They didn't have the cloud didn't exist. And this cheesy. I have these like terabyte external hard drives that I put podcasts on, all my podcasts, and then one day they just stopped working, and I'm like,
yeah, done.
The hell.
Yeah, that's no fun at all. You lose a lot of stuff. But anyways, I developed the app. It took a lot more money to do than I thought. But we got there. And I was live on the App Store in 2013 was when it came out.
Okay, that's a long time ago.
Exactly. But it's top secret still. Like I never marketed it. I got into a deal with Certainteed.
Well, we're talking about it here on the Drywall Podcast, so people might ask.
Well, that's what I'm hoping. A little plug for my app would be nice. It wouldn't take much to double my clientele, but I tell you, everybody that uses it loves it.
Okay.
The idea is it automatically generates your quotes based on your company preferences that you put in. It automatically generates material lists. It automatically generates or calculates all your peripheral materials, I call it. So you count your board, you know how much taping mud it's going to take and how much topping. It does all that for you.
Okay.
It totals everything up. All you really need to do is when you're measuring it, you create all your delivery points, upstairs, downstairs, garage, where you want the board loaded. Count your board, put it into the app, and then when you're finished, all you do is it does a lot of little cool things to speed it up, but the general idea is you select the price that you want. It works on an aggregated pricing strategy, meaning, you're going to spend whatever it is, $1 a square foot for materials. Your subcontractor, your boardman's going to be 40 cents. If I sub out the taping, it'll be 60 cents, whatever. All those costs, those hard costs of scrapping out and all that. And like everybody does, you go, okay, my hard costs are X. I want to make this much extra money on it. So you put in a number. So that's basically how everybody does it. The app does it the same way. So you just pick your dollar figure that you want. It generates a quote and does all that. Literally, when I'm finished measuring, I can have the email sent to my client before I walk to my truck. Like literally on the way,
wow.
Gone.
Okay.
So I never have to think about it again. It really makes a difference. And I remember how freaked out people were, how fast the quotes are coming, right? Like,
okay.
And I don't like to tell people a number. If you're in one of those situations where I have to say, we're standing face to face, and they go, so how much?
Yeah.
And then that opens
or,
up.
Or what's it? You're going to get a lot of work from this. What's my deal? What kind of a deal are you going to give me?
It opens
I'm
door.
super popular in this town. A lot of people walk through my home.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope you know. I hope you know that.
Exactly. But it opens up that dialogue for a negotiation. What worked for me is that even if they're standing there with me and I've finished it, oh, it was nice meeting you. And then I just say, your quote is in the email. And they'll go, oh, how much? I'm like, it's in your email. Have a great day. I got to go, right? I found when something is on paper, when I have people working for me, subcontractors working for me, back when I had subcontractors, tapers and boardmen and whatnot, if somebody said to me, I want X amount of dollars on the phone, I want 75 cents for that job, 75 cents a foot, I'd be like, what? No way, man. I can't afford much more than 65 or whatever. And this negotiation would happen. But I noticed something about myself anyways. If they didn't have that discussion and they sent me an invoice for 75 cents, even though I thought it was too much, I'd be like, okay, cut the check. Right? Like it kind of cuts that part of that negotiation thing out of, it's on paper. Oh, that's what it is. Okay, I'll pay it. Right? I found it work that it's a psychological difference. I found it helped in that.
The app works. It's phenomenal. You like it. You use this product. What is the name of the app?
Drywall Contractor.
Drywall Contractor. Now, let's say I'm a drywall contractor. I'm curious now. I've listened to the Drywall podcast. I'm curious about your app. Where do I go to buy it?
The iOS App Store, Apple. That's the only place it's available. It only works on iOS devices.
iOS. Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have like a website or?
Yeah. Drywallcontractor.app.
Okay. And then, so they can find out information about it. Do you have, does drywallcontractor.app have like YouTube, Instagram?
Yeah, I've got,
like social media presence.
Not a lot. I'm just literally starting to do this.
Okay.
It's kind of embarrassing, but I got so caught up in the rest of my life. And this, took a back burner for a long time. It's been running at top the whole time. Haven't even had to, but, life gets in the way and I never got a chance to market it. I didn't know how to market it. And then I decided I'd do some Instagram stuff.
That's okay. But you have some friends that are using it, or you've had contractors come to you that want to use it. What kind of a sales database do you have?
So I think on average, my sales per month are only it's just under 30 people, but it's been consistently since 2013. I've had that much. And because I didn't try to grow it, it's just kind of stood there. But the people that do use the app and have reached out to me, say there's no way they could live without it now.
You should get those testimonials. You should actually go back and just talk to the people that are using it and just get like a video testimonial. That'd be great.
I do have a couple testimonials from
Okay.
people that have used it.
Yeah. I
And they're a
liked
little bit older.
I liked your testimonial about the Can-Am tool. Like I like that. I was like, oh, okay, that's good. Like people like testimonials, and you explaining the app is phenomenal. You could probably get some drywall contractors that might be interested.
I can send you a couple links if you want afterwards, if you want to throw a little something at it.
Absolutely. And you said something about Certainty. Like, were they interested in the app or purchasing the app or something?
Yeah, I made a marketing deal with them, a very bad deal for me,
Okay.
unfortunately. But I thought, I didn't know how to market it, but they're a huge company. They were at the time the world's largest drywall manufacturer,
Yeah.
Saint-Gobain, right? And
Yeah.
so I reached out to them. I reached out to CGC. They both showed interest, and my offer to them was, I'll market it as your app.
Right.
So all of your materials will be in the app. It'll be, Certainty's app, and
Yeah. Smart.
and I thought it was smart. But what ended up happening is we got locked into a 5-year deal with them, and once the lawyers got involved in negotiation back and forth about what they needed to do in order to, they found a way to make it so they could do almost nothing. I think 'cause they knew CGC wanted it too, and they didn't want to miss out. But I don't think they really had. They're not in the app business; they're in the manufacturing business. That kind of idea.
Yeah.
So they got me on board. We branded it, got me on board, and then not a lot happened with it. But I couldn't really do anything for 5 years. By the time that 5 years is up, and they named it and everything, it was called Third Arm Quotes back then, and I
Okay.
hated the name. I let them, kind of went. One of the reasons things didn't go the way I wanted it to in the beginning is because I made a deal, got into something, and wasn't happy with it. So I just kind of buried my head in the sand and waited for 5 years to go away.
Okay. All right.
You know
Fair
what I mean?
enough.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it might be its time. It's just like any product. What you're doing with the Can-Am tool, coming on the Drywall Podcast, but you would do, you could put together, especially with your knowledge, you could put together small commercials, if you will, post them up, TikTok, your website too. James is a phenomenal marketer, he's just amazing.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so, he's got a great idea. Like that wouldn't have gone anywhere if he wasn't such a good marketer. I mean, that's the only reason that tool, because there's been a lot of great tools that have probably fallen to the wayside because people don't know about them. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Or they're not like tenacious, and you just keep after it year after year.
The thing about an app is it costs me nothing. Like I don't have to make anything. You make the app,
Yeah.
and that's
it's
it.
It's ready to go.
So that's a positive, but it also allowed me to get complacent where I'm just like, I'll just do it later, right? I've had it up to here with the app.
Yeah.
Because my life was all about that for a couple of years, developing it, getting it going and all that.
Well, sounds like that 5-year deal took the wind out of your sails a little bit, but it's still there.
Yeah, no, and I just rebranded it as drywall contractor because that's what it is.
Could you do a different deal maybe with a different company?
If I wanted to do a deal, I would definitely not go to manufacturers because they don't have the client list. Like, there's a lot of drywall contractors in North America. I know I don't know how many. There's a lot, but the manufacturer doesn't sell to them. They sell to suppliers who sell to them. So if I wanted to make some sort of marketing deal, I'd want to do it with a supplier, like somebody that sells to drywall contractors, because they have the client list. They know how to contact them. That direct connection. Certainty was separated, and the suppliers certainly aren't sharing their client list with the manufacturers, right? So that was a bit of a mistake going that route. I thought go big, right? But the next step down was the right way to get in touch with people.
Yeah.
And then I did try to do that. I approached Titan when they bought a company in Victoria here, Slag Lumber. It was a mom and pop company. Got bought by Titan. Talked to them. I talked to a company called Kenrock, about 12 stores or something. And, it just never really clicked. I couldn't quite get a deal done. They were interested, but it never actually happened. And again, it would have been a rebranding thing and, to try to get to their clients, right?
Sales is challenging for sure.
And especially now with like Home Depot owns most of the drywall supply places in North America, as far as I know. I mean, they're the largest. Slag got bought out by Titan, which got bought out by GMS, Gypsum Management Systems, which got bought out by Home Depot. Like, it's just the big fish eating the small fish, right? We're going to have one supplier in North America before long, right?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
We're just going to be ran by robots, like in the Matrix. And it's
an easy thing to fall into, right? Like, because AI can help you with these little things, and before you know it, you become dependent on something, and you're not using your own brain anymore. It's kind of
right.
It's easy to fall into.
It's a slippery slope, to say the least. Yeah. Pete Wilson, one thing I do ask all of the people that come on the Drywall Podcast is for a pearl of wisdom. Something you could put on a billboard. You said something earlier about a finisher, blah, blah, blah. We were talking about drugs, and like you said, I follow music, but you said a drywall finisher something, and it was great.
Basically, if show me a good drywall finisher, and I can show you a misspent youth, right? Like, basically, a good drywall finisher obviously didn't finish school and do that. Come on.
You never get that back. You never get those years back. Get out now. I remember when I was an apprentice in the union, they're like, get out. Go, save yourself. Like the old guy. I'm like, I liked it. I like the mud, the day goes by pretty quick. I'm running the mud. I'm like 20, 21, 22. Like, I'm making decent money. I was in the union. Like, I was like, this seems fine to me. I don't know.
I never got in the union, but I mean, I did. I got into it because of the money, right? I needed to make money, but sure. I found quickly that I actually love doing it. There's
me too.
That feeling of, you come onto a new house and you got that, there's nothing on the, if you're boarding, that's just studs, but you walk out and it's done and you can go, I did that, like, and be proud of it. Like, you're actually doing stuff. You're not just shuffling papers around, right?
I don't think people that don't do drywall fully sort of realize there's an element of artistry there that drywallers get to share. We share that common thread that only if you're a drywaller you really know, because you see people hack through it. General contract, anybody can drywall. I finished out a job, I can do it, and but they can't. They really can't. It looks like shit, or they grind for days on the what you got sanding dust everywhere. It's still humped out, looks like crap. It's something that's unique to the time spent putting in that 2 years that you put in, or the 3 years that somebody else put in, or the 1 year. I've heard people as low as like 1 year. They'll give it a year, but the apprenticeship is actually a 3-year program, which I think is pretty accurate to be a round drywall finisher with texturing and some hanging.
Absolutely.
But at the end of that time, to be able to finish out corner bead properly and float out a wall, do a proper level 5, it's quite a skill set, and people don't realize it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's funny though, when you've been at it as long as I have, it feels like nothing. It feels totally natural. I have to go back and remember how hard it was in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? But it is a bit of an art. It's not something you can just watch and do, because it's all about feel. Where you put the pressure on the tool, you can't tell by looking at somebody what they're doing. You have to pick it up and try it. And,
even like it going from pan and knife to hawk and trowel. I remember that transition. The dudes were all using hawks and trowels to texture, and I was like, I just did it because they were doing it, but it was a hard curve, man. It took a few weeks, and we're finishing the whole house. We're texturing whole houses with a hawk and trowel, but I was a mess. And there's still little things like positioning things where you position yourself with the tools to get the right feel.
It's interesting that you okay. So in Victoria, there's almost no texture goes on anything. Like everything's finished smooth, right? So I've completely gotten out of textures. But what I found interesting is you went from a pen and knife to a hawk and trowel to do texture. I was a hawk and trowel guy, and when I had to start doing skip trowel textures, I actually used a pen and a 12-inch knife. Like I had to learn how to do it the other way because everybody was doing it that way. So.
We would use for skip trowel, for the light skip trowel, we'd use like a 12-inch in our pan. But for this Adobe texture, the base coat of Fresco Harmony was a full wall cover. They were using a pool trowel, like a 14-inch
round
pool
on both ends. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So wasted drywall, it's wasted youth. It's a wasted energy.
It's a joke. It's not a pearl of wisdom. It's a joke.
What's your pearl of wisdom? Come on, man. What's your pearl of wisdom?
Oh, I don't know that I have any wisdom in these
Something
bones.
You could pass along to the younger generation coming up in the trade, or humanity. Let's go for it.
I gotta have something, eh?
There's some pearls swimming around in there.
I think it's, as far as being a drywaller, it's like, if you treat it, people look down on drywallers, I think. They're not, you hear people say they're not a real trade, all those things. But I think if you look at drywall like any other business, and if you treat it like any other business and take it seriously, it can be a great way to make a living. I honestly think it's, you're building relationships with people out there like any other business. Unfortunately, we kind of get pigeonholed as one of those trades that aren't, at least we do up here. I don't know if it's like that down there where you are.
Oh, sure. I think it's pretty universal.
Yeah. But I mean, certainly that's not reality. I mean, there's bad tradesmen in every trade, right? Mm-hmm. So that's not a pearl of wisdom either. I don't know.
It is. It is.
It's a little bit hard in the beginning if you're speaking about taping in particular, finishing in particular. I've trained quite a few people over the years, and it's a lot like playing the guitar. It's really, really hard at first, but if you stick with it and there's like this little hump, and once you get over that hump, all the new skills depend on the skills you've already learned. It starts to get, it comes together, and it's quite satisfying to, but a lot of people don't make it to that first hump before they give up. Right.
Right. Well, and with guitar too, it's like proper practice and
intentional practice. Yeah.
Yeah. There were like little nuggets that I picked up learning different things, but with the guitar, more so the practices that you implement early on stick with you. In particular, how I hold the pick. Like I never held the pick properly
really?
With the side of my finger. I always pinch it. Okay. And that's not proper. Like you're supposed to do the side, but I pinch it, and my finger gets in the way. But I've whittled it to where that's like how I do it. But drywall is very similar in that those bad habits that you're picking up early on are how you listen to that journeyman, because how you pick up those habits are going to stick with you. And it's not about going fast really quickly. It's about learning proper and then working on your speed. That's the same as a guitar.
Exactly.
People want to pick up the guitar and play really fast. But if you're learning a song, you play it very slow, get the measure before you move on to the next measure, that sort of thing.
The thing I learned about learning how to play guitar or practicing, I'm still learning. I've been playing guitar for almost 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still learning. But what I wasted a lot of years when I would practice. I would grab my guitar and play things I could play. Like I would just pick up and noodle around. Oh yeah, I can do that riff. Oh, that's a fun riff. Do this and do that. It wasn't until one day I learned, like, stop it. Like, you're wasting your time. You can do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Do something you can't do. Like, start working on that alternate picking technique or sweep picking that you've never done, right?
For me, it's the finger picking that I always see, like the Dire Straits. What's his name? Mark
Knopfler.
Yeah, so he does that the moving with it, almost like bluegrass, where they move the thumb, like proper finger picking. That, like, I never want to work on it because it's so hard.
It's very hard.
But it takes the practice. Like, you got to put in that work to get to where those dudes are just, they're making it look easy.
Again, it's about that hump, right? It's almost impossible. And then you get to a point and then all of a sudden the doors just open wide and it's like, oh, this is great, right?
Because it makes the chord sound so much better when you can finger pick.
It's far more interesting, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's
very cool.
But I think drywall, and you're right, drywall and music have, or guitar playing in particular and finishing, have a lot in common that way. If you just tough it out to that first, because most of the time, most guys who train you just give you a sanding pole and say sand. Like, you're just grunt labor. But you gotta put in your due. You gotta pay your dues in order to get onto the other stuff, right?
Yeah, I did for sure. Pete Wilson, PR Wilson Interiors. Thank you for being on the Drywall Podcast today, sir. We didn't get in too much into the life of Pete, but we did a little bit. We definitely gleaned a piece of, like, who you are. The app sounds very interesting. It sounds like a really good thing. It sounds like it just needs to get out there a little more. If you're interested in the new CanAm tool.
It is free to download. It's a 30-day free trial. So
30-day free trial, of course. Yeah. So it costs you nothing to try it out. You can get it through drywallcontractor.app.
Yeah. Or go directly to the App Store and just search Drywall Contractor.
Okay.
And it's right at the top of the list there.
Great domain for that app too, by the way. That's the early stuff, grabbing that early fruit. Very cool, sir. Well, we will be in touch. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I hope you have a fantastic day, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Pete. Take it easy.
All right. Take care, brother.
Bye.
Bye.
Huge shout out to Pete Wilson for being with us on the Drywall Podcast today. Excellent episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, sir. Good luck with the app and all of your endeavors, and thank you for having the courage to tackle the hard stuff and do something inspiring. It's probably my favorite thing about people, and I appreciate you bringing it real on this show. Also, I'd like to give a huge Drywall Podcast shout out to CanAm Tools for sponsoring this month, the month of August, on the Drywall Podcast. It's because of sponsors like CanAm and badasses like Pete Wilson that I get to bring you original content every month. This month, we're highlighting CanAm's newest tool, the Creaser Corner Finisher, as you heard, pioneered by Pete Wilson and developed by CanAm. This tool tackles the insane challenge of coming up with a tool that both rolls and flushes the inside angles on your next project. Find out more at www.canamtool.com or look for this tool at your favorite drywall retailer. You have a lot of things that you can listen to on the radio, whether you're driving to work or you're on your way home from work or whatever. Today, you chose the Drywall Podcast, and I sincerely thank you guys for listening to today's show. I hope you all have an amazing weekend or week, whatever you're heading into. And remember, keep drywalling.